Okay, up next, Andy McKiel. Andy McKiel is a digital learning consultant with the St. James Assiniboia School Division, working with educators around Manitoba through his involvement with a number of boards and committees. And he's a firm believer in the power technology has to connect teachers with each other, whether they work down the hall, across the province, or around the world. Please welcome Andy McKiel.
So, I'm Andy McKiel, and as a day job, I'm a K-12 technology coordinator here in Winnipeg, but in that capacity, I work primarily with teachers and administrators looking at the effective infusion of technology across the curriculum, trying to provide our students with opportunities to really use technology in meaningful ways. But tonight, I'm here as a technology advocate, so I kind of like that title, and I hope that it sticks. Technology's changed so much over my years. When I started out, that's what I had available, but these days, many of us carry more powerful technology in our pockets, our kids especially, and we're trying to prepare them for futures that, they don't exist, for jobs that don't exist. Mark Prensky talks about digital natives and digital immigrants, says that our kids are growing up with technology, they just know how to use it. I don't really believe that's true. I think that we all have learning to do in this area. And technology is not just something that's a passion for me at work, it's something that really infuses itself into all aspects of my life. So at home, when we go on holidays, I don't just email a couple pictures to a couple family and friends. I set up a blog and I write about stories of where we've been. I embed maps and stories. And I follow Mike on Instagram. And Instagram, to me, it's the billion-dollar app. In a year and a half, it's made a whole lot of cash. It's an amazing opportunity for people to get together and connect and share. And I'm using that with my own kids to teach them lessons about how to be ethical and responsible with what they share and what they contribute to their online social networks. But I also get a chance to unplug every once in a while, and I have this hobby where I turn wooden pens, which is kind of a strange thing for a tech guy to do. But I take pictures of them now, and I post these pictures, and people comment on them and like them, and I have actually given away a bunch of these pens to some of the most creative and innovative people that I know in some of the online social networks that I belong to. This is kind of my online business card. It's a bunch of the social networks that I belong to, and places where I share ideas and information with other people. Places like, YouTube and Blogger and Vimeo and Flickr and Twitter especially. So there's so many places where I have developed these networks and I share with other people around the world. But there's so many more. These are also networks that I participate in quite actively. As an educator, I feel it's really, really important for all of us to be able to connect with other educators, to build a professional learning network. Sure, I do a whole lot of stuff face-to-face, but I have to do a lot of stuff online because it gives me so much more reach than I have here in the city. Edmodo is one social networking platform that I really like. Over the last couple of years, they kind of build themselves as Facebook for education. It's an opportunity for us to teach students about how they can be safe in an online world. In the last 2 years, they've grown from 500,000 users to 7.5 million users. So there's a reason for that. It's a pretty good platform. Last year at this time, they had a contest where they were looking for some featured bloggers, and they had over 100 people that applied to write on their blog on a weekly basis. And of those 100 people, they picked 5, and I was fortunate enough to be one of the 5 people that was chosen. So as a result, I got to write about how I'm implementing Edmodo into St. James Assiniboia School Division. And then last fall, I got this really crazy email from Edmodo saying, we're thinking of partnering with Polar Bears International. Do you think it's a good idea? And I thought, well, why are they asking me? But I said, yeah, I think it's a good idea. And then I get another email right away saying, want to go to Churchill? And it was a dream come true. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I found myself a few weeks later climbing off a plane at the Churchill airport, somewhere I'd never been before, and climbing onto a Tundra buggy. And not just any Tundra buggy, this is actually Buggy 1. So if anyone saw the polar bear cam last fall, and you get to see some of the polar bears migrating onto the Hudson Bay, this is where it's all shot. That's the camera right up at the front corner there. And I wasn't alone on Buggy 1. I was with a group of scientists, some of the leading scientists from around North America. There were polar bear experts, there were climate change experts, there were marine biologists, and there was me, some guy from Winnipeg. The guy on the far right, that's Dr. Don Moore. If any of you know the story about Gus, the polar bear from Central Park who suffered from depression, Dr. Don's the guy that fixed him. It was amazing. So we were there, the same reason that everyone goes to Churchill. We wanted to see polar bears. We wanted to study polar bears in their natural habitat, and they're migrating back onto Hudson Bay, but the ice is coming in later and later these days. And this one bear left a really deep impression on me because he came right up to the edge of buggy one and he actually jumped up right underneath me. And all of a sudden he was so close, that was the best shot I could get of him. Now, I'm not a photographer. I take some pictures. I don't know if they're great pictures, but I swear to you, I was looking into this bear's soul. And when I was looking into his eyes, I felt like he was trying to talk to me. And it got me thinking, if polar bears could talk, what would they say? You would think that being out in the middle of absolutely nowhere, someone as remote and desolate as the shores of Hudson Bay with, that's my hotel in the background there for a few nights, seeing bears sparring, you would think I would have felt so isolated and so removed from the rest of the world. But indeed it had exactly the opposite effect, because as I was out there, my capacity while I was out there was to host these webcasts for a couple hours a day. So we connected with 10 to 12,000 teachers and students every single day around the world, talking to them, showing them what was outside our window, giving them opportunities to talk to the experts in the field about the issues that are affecting these polar bears. I was probably more connected there than I'd ever been anywhere in my life. But a couple hours a day wasn't enough for me. I had to be very transparent about this whole experience. I had to share everything. So I set up a blog while I was up there, chillingwithnanook.com. And I used that blog to share my stories and share my pictures and share my videos. To me, it was just a really amazing way to bring the people that I know and have respect for with me. And it didn't end when I came back to Winnipeg. Over the months that have elapsed since returning home, I've been able to connect with teachers in classrooms within the city of Winnipeg, all across Canada, even halfway around the world. This is a Skype call that I had with a group in Singapore, the Canadian International School. And I got this letter in the mail thanking me for all the help that I provided them. 6 years ago, I was a grade 4 teacher at Stevenson Britannia School here in St. James School Division. And I woke up one night and I just thought about this job that I felt I had to do. It was just so important that I make more of a difference than what I can do in one school with one set of children and one group of teachers. So I pitched this idea, and 5 years ago, I started doing this job. I'm a curriculum coordinator for digital learning. What is that? It's a job that didn't exist until I created that job. And I can tell you the amount of passion that I put into that job, the amount of productivity I feel coming out of that job, who wouldn't want to be an advocate for something like that for their kids? Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. That was excellent. Wow, it's a great thing that you're doing, and you should be proud. And I think your passion for your work really shows. That's great.